Welcome to the Shift Podcast, where we have conversations with people that have made a shift in their life that's put them on the path they're on today. I'm Erin.
And I'm Dan, and we hope that these conversations will inspire you to take a shift in your life. Ez, welcome back.
Danny boy.
All right, today's a good one. So today we're joined by someone who has mastered the art of reinvention. He started his career off as a DJ, which saw him on the international stage. But when that chapter closed, he shifted. He took a relentless work ethic and internal drive to build a business that he had founded called Agent Hype, a marketing agency disrupting the space with AI and automation. He's a leader who believes in leaving the ego at the door, outworking everyone in the room, and proving the haters wrong. So welcome, James, to the podcast.
Love that. Great intro.
James.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, how good. He came out with that all himself.
I appreciate that. I mean, when you put it like that, you're like, oh, I did do that. That's right. I forgot I did that.
That's some pretty cool
thing.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're compressing the last 15 years, but that's great.
Which is a great way to start.
It is, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I honestly forget about my past career until someone like yourself goes, how's the shift been? And this is all I know, right? This is the life I know. But then you think about 5-10 years ago, oh, yeah, I was an entirely different person.
Yeah.
Completely reinvented myself, yeah.
Tell us about James 15 years ago then.
Yeah, well, I guess where do you want to start, right? I mean, a lot of people still know me as a DJ, and I'll still see people out and about going, how's the DJing going? I'm like, I haven't done it for 5+ years since COVID, right? Look, COVID was the big thing, right? As we all had career changes, all had pivots, and everyone's got a story to tell, right? Mine was the music industry. We had, peak career in my DJ world, and then had all these European festivals booked up, and then they all obviously stopped. But I can take you back to the start of DJing.
Let's do that.
Like, how far do you want to?
Well, that's kind of, we met through basketball, but also through some sticky floors in some nightclubs in Surface. So, so let's,
yeah.
When you could smoke in clubs, are we going that far
No,
back?
it wasn't that far back. It was, I mean, there was probably all the Jaeger bomb and Red Bull probably helped the sticky floors.
Sure, absolutely. But yeah, take us back to those songs. That's early stages.
Yeah,
for you, right?
Local DJ, man. I mean, look, I always wanted to do music in one way or another. Went to uni for it, studied music. I was always into music. Parents supported me. That was my thing. Was lucky enough to get a few residency gigs on the Gold Coast. Met a business partner at the time, Brett. And we started this duo called Rave Radio. And look, the goal was always just to play around Queensland, right? That was kind of the goal as DJs. You wanted to play local. And then we took it a bit more seriously, and social media was the avenue you went down. And so I kind of threw myself into learning music, but also learning social media marketing. So one thing led to the other, started getting booked around Australia and started playing the Australian circuit, and then really went hard on social media for like DJing. And at the time, it was big, but it wasn't like obviously what it was now, right? People weren't using social media as they are now. So I think we were maybe one of the earlier people to really adopt social media back then. Anyway, started having some videos go viral on Facebook. This is when Facebook was a thing. Had some videos, 5 million views, 8 million views, really start to pop off. That got us touring in Asia, and then started touring Asia, which was cool. And that started literally playing in these big clubs, 5,000 people, 6,000 people festivals.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of those videos in the early days. I'm like, because first time meeting James, it was at Sin City or one of those nightclubs. So you got like the local sort of crowd. And then I saw these videos where he's in front of what look like thousands of people just going nuts for really music. So like, what's that like?
Well, you come out from playing to a few hundred people on the Gold Coast, and then you play to this huge crowd. It's the best. Like, it's way more fun. People are into it. Everyone's looking at you. They're really connecting with your music, and you can put together a real show. So as a DJ, it's the best because you're actually constructing a set for an hour. You're coming in there. You're doing visuals. You're thinking about what music you play. You really control the room. And so that was great. That was like where you wanted to go. And then music really started to take off then too. So we had some songs kind of get picked up by some big DJs at the time, Martin Garrix and David Guetta and all these like really big DJs started playing our music, which was cool. And then, you just kind of keep doubling down, right? And then South America, we did some South American shows, played at the biggest nightclub in the world, Green Valley, which was cool. That was like an 8,000 person, like outdoor mega club. Then played Europe, then started breaking into Europe. And this was all over between, 2010 and about 2018, 19. Yeah, so Europe started taking off, played at a festival called Electric Love after the Chainsmokers. That was probably like one of the highlights. That was really cool, got to meet those guys. So yeah, all these things happened in the music world, right? And that's all I knew. That was my identity, that was my life. And then—
How old were you at this stage when you were traveling around?
20s. So I think COVID, I was 31. 32. So like, you know, I think 20 is the time where you chase your dreams, right? You were doing your sales role. I think you were on super yachts, right? In your 20s as well. So that's the time you just chase your dreams because you got nothing to lose, right? You can always move back with your parents. Money's not really a big thing, got no kids. So it's the time to push. If anyone's listening in their 20s, like,
go hard.
Don't go hard. Like chase the dream. Like go big. That's I think my takeaway from that time. And looking back then, I was so grateful to have that time too.
Yeah.
For sure. So you do that and then what, COVID hits?
Yeah, and then COVID hits, right? So that was the change everyone had, right? Music industry stopped. Everyone's careers pretty much stopped. And I had to kind of make a decision. Like, do I just wait it out like everyone else and wait for the world to open up or do something else?
Start DJing from the kitchen.
That was what people were doing, watching live sets, right? And I'm like, that's not going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And that's not going to like do a thing. So let's just try and pick something up. And so I started just DMing like all the friends I knew, like, hey, do you need any work? Like, you need anything going on? Like, I'm pretty good at marketing, social media, yada, yada. Yeah. And a good friend of mine replied and love to have you in for a day, see what you can do. He ran a real estate agency on the Gold Coast, JJ. And so
JJ Taylor.
Yeah.
JJ.
Yep. So done very well for himself, right? And I've seen him grow his agency as well. But I went into that meeting, I didn't know a thing about real estate. But before he said come in, I went, I got to learn real estate. So I spent like maybe 5 or 6 days before that meeting, like watching hours of YouTube videos.
I love that 5 or 6 days where it's like some people are like,
oh no,
couple
I just
years,
threw myself into it. I'm very, I do a lot of research before things, right? I want to be very well prepared. And so before that meeting, I just threw myself into real estate marketing, had all these points for him, had a full PowerPoint presentation, presented it to him, and they were like, oh, this guy's pretty serious. Okay, like he's actually knows what he's talking about. Yes, they offered me a job.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool. So started 2 days a week, went to 3 days a week, full time, and ended up working there for 2 years during the COVID time, right? And that's how I learned real estate. And it was kind of applying everything I'd learned in the DJ world to real estate agents, which at the time felt so far apart, but there's actually a lot of similarities.
Yeah, what
because
are they?
They're both very competitive industries, and they both essentially, most DJs do the same thing, most real estate agents do the same thing. So how do you set yourself apart in a very overcrowded market?
Very good point.
And it's all marketing, and it's all like perception, and it's all like how do people perceive you, the marketing you do before the sale for real estate, and then before you get booked as a DJ, all that marketing leading up to that. It's a lot of similarities. And so, really helped grow that business, which is really fun. That learned real estate. And then it kind of came time to go, okay, what's the next thing, right? I think there's only so far I can go in this role. My plan was always actually to go back to music. So I actually left that job and went back. I was doing composing for TV commercials, funnily enough, which is another like pivot. And I thought that was where I was going to go.
Yeah, okay.
And TV commercials, just so you know, it's a whole world of composers making the music behind TV commercials. So next time you listen to a TV commercial, there's usually music behind, and there's a whole world of composers doing that. And I started doing that, and I started doing all these big TV productions, and I grew that up over 6 months as well. And I was doing commercials for Formula One and the Australian Open. I did one for, Toyota in America, and had all these like big brands.
So do you sort of apply like an application process to do that, or is it through like an agent or something?
Yeah, through agencies. Yeah. And how it usually works, kind of like sidebar, but how it works is brands usually want like a big hit song. We want a Dua Lipa song. Let's get a Dua Lipa song in our new Coca-Cola commercial. Dua Lipa wants $2.5 million. Yeah. Ooh, that's royalties. A bit much. That's a bit much. We should find someone to make a sounder like Dua Lipa song to get the same emotion, and then we'll just pay someone, 10 grand to do it. Yeah. So their 10 grand fee is nothing, but to a composer like me, that's great. And so I started doing that. So that's the side world of music production, and that really where I thought I was going. Anyway, so when I left the real estate agency, I still had people calling me out going, hey, can you do my real estate agency? I heard you were great. And I had people just source me out of nowhere when I thought I was kind of done with it. And I thought, I've probably got something here. Like, I'm pretty good at doing it. I've learned this industry. Maybe I'll do it on the side. And then so it was like 3 or 4 months of doing it on the side. And then the referrals just kept coming in. And it actually grew quite organically. I had, before I know it, I had about 6 or 7 clients doing that on the side by doing music. Yeah, right. And I remember like turning down like real estate clients to do music work when like that would have paid me way more. That would have been easy. And I started seeing the growth. At the same time, AI was starting to boom, right? So ChatGPT was coming out, all these AI agents then started coming out, and I started getting into that. And you just start connecting the dots. The music industry starts to change as well. If anyone listening knows the music industry, it's gone over a lot of changes over the last couple of years. So going into that industry, and then you've got this huge economic change with AI. Well, that's the train you want to be on, right? Not a dying music industry. So that was kind of the change I kind of started to make. And then that put me on the journey of agent hype. And so that's probably what we can unpack more today.
I have a question. When you got hired during COVID to become a real estate agent?
It was marketing, in-house marketing.
In-house marketing,
Yep.
Right. Okay. Because I started, obviously for me, I'm like, well, real estate popped off, but I kind of felt like it was towards the end of COVID. And I'm like, it's really interesting people are taking on all these staff in real estate during COVID when everyone was like laying people off and restructuring teams.
Yeah, it was the growth of real estate prices that obviously made a lot of people jump into it. But it was also then a lot of people came into it. So there's a lot of new agencies in the industry, right? And so I was in the head office position, basically trying to help the real estate agency grow, but then also help real estate agents grow. And that was kind of how I learned real estate marketing for agents, which is what I do now. And we can probably unpack this more, but it's a very dinosaur industry. It's very old fashioned marketing, right? Cold calling, letterbox drops, you got guys in their 50s doing it. They've been doing it for 30 years. I've never done advertising, never had to spend, people come to me. And that's the industry. It's so old school, so dinosaur. And so me coming in from DJ world that was like social media ads, like build a personal brand, have captivating videos, hooks, all these kind of things from DJ world into real estate. It was like, this needs disrupting. And so that's when I really came in.
We literally had this conversation with someone recently around, I opened my letterbox the other day and I could have filled my fucking fridge with the amount of calendars, right? With all different faces
magnets,
on them, right?
Ones,
There was little leaflets. There was, and I'm only renting the house I'm in at the moment, right? So then there's like
Not even
to the
gonna
owner,
use-
like I'm like,
And
no
it
idea.
says no junk mail. And then I get the shits, but then there was one magnetic notepad that I was like, well, that's kind of fucking handy. So I had to keep it. But it does my head in.
It's so wild that agents still do it and they just keep doing it. I heard one the other day where all the agents in the same area were using the same company to do the letterbox drops, and the company was getting lazy and putting them all together and putting a lucky band around them.
That's
and just
hilarious.
showing
Like a
it in.
bundle.
Yeah, a bundle. And the person would look at it and go, like not even looking at them all because there
that's
was
bad.
like 8 in a lucky band, right? But that's the industry. Like I had a call with a guy on Friday. He was like kind of puffing, right? I'm like, are you okay? And he goes, I'm doing my morning letterbox drops. I'm like, man,
I want
all
my
right.
pamphlet, right?
Can I help you out? Yeah.
But like, go back to the basic principles of sales and marketing. How do you even justify the return on advertising spend? Because
On letterbox drops?
because like there's no way to really measure it.
It's the hardest thing. And that's what I say. Every dollar in has to have a dollar out in marketing, right? ROI, this, you ran some big companies. It's got to have ROI. And so maybe 10, 15 years ago it worked when you're blanket marketing, right? And you're just hoping something comes back. But it's really hard to attribute that sale to that particular listing unless you're actually asking, so how'd you find out about me? Agents now put it down to like, well, it's brand awareness, people seeing my face. But like that hasn't been the case for like 7 or 8 years. It's such a dinosaur industry. Maybe in like a country town it works where you've still got a 75-year-old grandma still opening up her mail and reading it all. But like I can tell you on the Gold Coast, like people aren't looking at that.
But I was in marketing on the Gold Coast in sales and television, and I could have run a very successful radio campaign and they would have heard the message 10 times. But then their mate just goes, oh yeah, I went in there. And as soon as they asked in the store, oh, well, my friend said to come in, but the groundwork had been done by the marketing campaign. So it's, I mean, we're exposed to on average 3,500 subliminal advertising messages every single day.
There you go.
Like wild numbers.
Oh, and that's
Crazy.
and that's probably not even on top of the social media advertising. That's just like out and about doing your normal thing, right? Yeah. And if you were in advertising with radio, even radio had its place, right? Because you could pretty cheaply reach the whole Gold Coast or the whole town for a pretty small amount, right?
And we were in radio before podcasting was a thing.
And probably before social media mostly too, right?
I mean, it was there, but it was
same.
kind of kicking off and it was finding its place within the market. But then you would do the radio campaign backed up by digital. And it was, digital was the supporting vehicle in all of the mainstream media, and it's so different now.
Oh, I mean, COVID changed that, right?
Yeah.
Everyone stayed at home. Econ brands completely blew up. Everyone shifted their business to an online model, and that kind of laid the foundation for everything changing, right? Most businesses now, a lot of their spend is online, right? You've done ecom businesses, majority of their spend's through Google or through Facebook, and ecom online is where the future's going for that, right? And so real estate's still very much stuck in the world of cold calling and letterbox drops and things. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to go back to stories or where that wants to go, but that's where it's at.
I'm keen to see how you start changing an industry that's so dinosaur-like. So obviously I've been watching your journey from the sideline and it makes perfect sense, right? For someone that embraces that level of technology, and I know that's where we're going. But such a big industry like real estate for the ones that haven't adopted. So are there any that have adopted it in a way that you're like, these guys are leading the way?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some of the biggest agencies in Australia that are just social media. Marty Fox, White Fox, he hasn't done a single letterbox drop, I think, since he started. He's all digital. So he's one that's pure digital. Koloshi, I know they spend insane amounts of money on digital. Anyone that understands technology that's kind of under the age of 40 are usually going pretty hard on socials. But here's the bit where most agents miss. They think a social media strategy is just putting up a sold tile on Instagram and Facebook and just calling it a day. I'm on social media. And you go to these Instagram accounts and it's just all sold tiles.
Is it social?
It's not very social.
It's an advertising message.
Yeah. It's not very communicative.
Yeah.
No one's talking about it. There's no branding behind it, but that's their mind of what social media is, right? And that's the call I have a lot of the time. I'll say, well, so what do you do on socials? And they're like, oh, well, I do my sold tiles and I'll post sometimes when I sell a home. Is someone going to share that? Is someone going to remember that? You know, there's
Where's
no
the
personal
engagement?
branding. Exactly, right? So I come at from a level of, well, we pretty much manage the whole thing. But my takeaway is you got to build a brand, right? You got to build a brand someone remembers, and people want to deal with people, and they want to deal with people they trust. And real estate is the most untrusted industry in Australia, and probably overseas as well, right?
Higher than car sales?
Well, you could be.
Wow.
Probably up there.
Okay.
I don't know the exact stats, but I know it's up there. I saw a Channel 7 article that it was like one of the most distrusted things. And so then how do you build a brand online where you're distrusted from the get-go? Well, you start showing your face, right? Show what you do in your life. Show what you do with a listing. Show how you bring a listing to market. Show the success of a recent sale. Show you supporting the local footy community. Show all these things that start building awareness around what you're doing. But the key part is running ads behind it, is actually putting ad spend behind it and then targeting people who are actually selling in the marketplace. And so that's when I start to come in, and we've built out funnels for agents where we show different ads at different periods of time. If you're a buyer, we show them these type of ads. If you're a seller, we show them these type of ads. If you've a rental, we can even show you these to potentially this. So when you start building out the funnels and then you start then implementing AI into it in the follow-up service, then you're really supercharging what the marketing's doing. Because then it goes from just waiting on someone to reply to a letterbox drop to having SMSs going out automatically, emails going out automatically. Every time they sell a home, list a home, there's posts going out. It's all automated. And this is where agents really scale their business. And so what most of my clients do, and people that are doing social media well, is you're just dominating an area, right? You're everywhere. It becomes a point of they're constantly seeing what you're doing because all the automations are there to let everyone know what you're up to.
When you say those steps though, to me, that sounds a bit scary. Like as a consumer, I know that you might not do that completely for every customer, but I feel like that would be too much for me. Like if I'm seeing it and I'm hearing it and then there's text messages and all these sorts of different things coming at me, it could have an adverse effect.
Oh yeah, if it's done too much, for sure. Yeah. So we want to limit that. And so it's only usually people that are kind of ready to sell, or when you've done the listing appointment, that's when it kind of fires. A follow-up message goes out, follow-up email goes out. Retargeting ads go if you've been to an open home. If you've made an inquiry, you'll get retarget ads over the next 7 days. They've got a likelihood of selling. Very quickly, you can get annoyed by those things. And we're very conscious of that. In Meta Ads accounts, there's a metric called frequency. And frequency shows how often someone's seeing an ad. As soon as that goes past like 2 or 3, like our ad team are in there pulling it down. So we know to pull down budget because you can get very annoyed from agents, right?
For sure.
And so it's that balance of doing it. But ultimately there's an ROI in what we do, right? All our clients are getting listings from it. It's all taking the, I guess, stress off their business, having to do letterbox drops and cold calling. It's automating the process. And it's also keeping them future ready, right? They're looking like they are moving forward in their business. And at the end of the day, real estate is just marketing. It's just marketing a home. All agents are doing is presenting a home, presenting it to buyers. And if people are saying they're marketing themselves great, well, there's a good chance they're going to be able to market the home quite well as well.
So what is it that the real estate agents that aren't embracing the new world, what is it holding them back? Is it the commitment to having to put their face on camera and build their brand? Is it the capital outlay to employ someone like yourself or engage an agency to help? Like what's that friction point for you?
Yeah, pretty much both those things, right?
Yeah.
So if you've been doing a job for the last 30 years and you've never had to do anything else, having a young guy like me saying, hey, why don't you do some social media ads? They're straight away, I don't need to do it.
You're not that young now. You're 40 at least, ain't you?
Yeah.
Don't be
Close
bitter.
enough. Close enough.
The boys had a bit of an argument off there, but anyway.
Daniel's very accomplished for someone of his age, and congratulations to you on everything you've done. So what was the question again? Sorry.
Yeah. So the ones that aren't embracing.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, it's a financial thing, going into something new, but it's also then putting myself out there. It's having to do the work. I mean, without offending too many people, real estate, some people fall into real estate because it's an easy job. And you do have those people having meetings where they just want easy listings. They don't really have the entrepreneur mind. They don't have the mindset of I got to build a brand and then people come to me. Whereas I'm more of in the mindset of build something so good people want to work with you. Build an attraction business. And that's in everything, right? If you're good enough and if you're good enough in whatever field you make, you should have the idea to be as good as you can so people come to you. And that's kind of where I've ended up now. I'm not having to run as many ads. People are coming to me. Referrals are through the roof. So I want to get my agents in that same position where their business is going well, people are coming to them.
Yeah. And how does that split from being like a brand, like the business itself, to being the agent brand? Because to me, it's like you're working for a business like Ray White, for an example, and then you've got the agent also needs to build their own personal brand. How do those two worlds come together?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So there's been a big shift from agents leaving the big corporates, the Ray Whites and the Harcourts over the last couple of years to go off and do your own boutique agency. And it's a really smart move because you can be a bit more nimble with your marketing. You can be a bit more cleaner with your branding. There's a lot of great boutique agencies around Australia doing really well. And so there's been this trend to go and do that. Now, if you've got, I think in anything, right? If you've got a reputation, you know what you're doing, it's a good time to go off and do your own thing. Even if you're working for a big company. I was having a conversation with a friend over the weekend. Like he's worked in a corporate company for a long time. And I said, is there a world where you could do what you're doing, but on a smaller basis and just do it to a small few people and probably do better? And he's like, it's almost like he haven't thought about it. He's like, oh, maybe I can. I'm like, yeah, you can. Like
light bulb.
So I think agents need to think about that. If you've got the database, you've got the sales, you've got the brand behind you, you can go off and do your own thing. Having said that, if you are with the Ray White and Harcourts, an established brand, definitely opens doors because it's trusted. People know the brand. You know, it's easier for agents to do that too. But it depends what you want out of a business.
Do you feel like those bigger brands have good systems in place as good building blocks and foundations for up and coming agents?
So it's very systemized and they've locked that in really well. But that's by design. It's systemized to bring on new agents, you know, going through the slog of doing cold calls and doing the basics. And then it's a long industry. It's a long career to be successful in. If you really want to work hard, you can be quite successful in a couple of years' time. To answer your question, I wouldn't know all the mechanics of how, you know, internal systems work, but I do know that, you know, the Ray Whites and the Harcourts will usually give a farming area to an agent. They'll give them a cold call list and just start calling.
Right.
Start cold calling, 100 cold calls a day for the next 6 months. That's how you grind your teeth. And that's how they start their industry, right? And like, if I was a real estate agent, I'm not doing 100 cold calls a day. That sounds horrible.
Yeah. That's what I used to do in radio, and I never got a list for it. I just had to find them.
That was the thing, right?
Hard.
That's kind of the way of doing it. So there are, you know, systems coming in smaller agencies. I think the smaller businesses can be a lot more nimble in who they employ and how they market. We work with a lot of smaller boutique offices, and they're really pro real estate. Sorry, pro online marketing because they can see the ROI. Whereas sometimes when you see a bigger team, well, we've done this for a long time. We've got our BDM, they're doing their thing. You know, it's a harder thing to shift.
For sure. Do you see the LLMs having a play in this space? Like there's a lot of information around, you know, people literally buying houses but through like you type into whatever model you use, I want a house in this area, and it'll go do the research for you. It'll come back, it'll say, hey, this is a house within your price range, and it can start setting you up even with the right person to borrow cash with and a whole range of stuff. So how does that come into your world?
Yeah, massively. It's going to really change the industry, I think, probably for good as well, right? I did see a funny video the other day. ChatGPT lost someone, a client, a deal. The buyer typed into ChatGPT, should I buy and pay this much for this home? And it said all the reasons why you're paying too much. And then the seller did the exact same thing. Should I sell my home at this price? No, I shouldn't. It's worth more. And they both went away from the deal. And this is a $50 million home in America. Huge agent in America, Ryan Sarant. He's a very established agent. He lost the deal.
Short.
Yeah, and like that's going to probably be more of a common thing too. So yes, the LLMs will play a part. I'm actually doing some like workshops next month around Australia, showing agents how they can use LLMs more. But I think the big thing is like speeding up workflows is where I'm interested in, right? Shaving time, taking 10, 15 minutes off a repetitive task and automating that through Claw Code, OpenClaw, you know, these kind of automations. Where LLMs are great are big data, big processing, big amounts of data. So going through databases, you know, cleaning out data, you know, there'll be a time pretty soon where you can put a whole database in there. Claude can go off, find all those owners, find out if they've sold or not, come back, worked out if they have a good chance of selling, and it's doing all that work that would previously take an agent probably half a day to do. And so that's getting automated pretty quick as well.
An AI question for you. Do you feel like AI is going to take away team collaboration? If everyone's got their own little AI bot on their computer, instead of going and working with someone in your team and having a team meeting and these different brains collaborating as a team, they're all just, instead of taking that, they're just doing it themselves on a computer with AI.
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually. I haven't actually thought about that. I remember when COVID came, all the, social meetings went out the door and people's learning was slowing down because you didn't have those office interactions, right? So there's probably going to be that. But it's also probably counteracted by the fact you've got this supercomputer doing everything you can think of. I'm in the world where I'm just trying to automate and systemize everything. So I'm like, automate everything.
Yeah.
But if you're in a team collaboration, that's probably going to play a part. I'm probably not the person to answer that question though, because I don't have a big team.
Because I feel like there's definitely a place for AI, of course, and there's no avoiding it anyway. But I do think that there's a lot of things that AI just will never be able to do, and giving you that human experience in the service and the things like, AI is hopefully not going to be able to build you a house, because that's where our tradies come in. But I think from a team collaboration perspective, and also running something past a team member, like you've said in the past, it's, the people are using AI to question professionals on what they've studied 7 to 8 years at university to do, and questioning their ability to tell them the truth and facts. So it's really interesting. I'm curious to see what it does to that collaborative space.
Yeah, I love lawyers. I was speaking to a lawyer the other day and he said their inquiries have gone through the roof because everyone's trying to use ChatGPT to like put through these lawsuits. And they'll read it and then they got to, because it's this hugest AI slop, right? Just absolute terrible garbage. And they've got to then put it through their LLMs to then go through and work out if it's a real case or not. And so that's then creating a bottleneck in his law firm. So there's all kinds of, meta problems that become widely used. But I'm more focused on the automation side of things, right? So how can we save 10, 15 minutes doing something repetitive? And I've been doing that every day for the last couple of weeks since OpenClaw came out. I'm not sure if you've had anyone talk about that, but that's the big thing right now. I'm sure by the time this podcast airs in a few weeks' time, it'll be even further along. But, I'm getting to the point now, this might be interesting to people. You can pretty much just tell it to automate and build your software and it'll do it overnight. Now, I'm not a software developer. I used to be a DJ. I haven't done coding. What's a JSON file? What's GitHub? I don't have a clue. But over the last / right?
Yeah.
But like pretty quickly now you can learn this stuff because OpenClaw is doing this for you. Have you played with OpenClaw much?
Not yet. I've built 2 softwares using Replit.
Yeah, cool.
Replit's
So
great.
I've got my coaching, all my coaching frameworks all built on Replit. So the web-based app and desktop version is all built through that. And I've got an app which I'm literally launching through the Apple Store, which is also built through Replit, but then it's got Expo Pro, which wraps it up and then allows you to put onto the Apple Store as an actual app.
Yeah, cool.
So that process is a little bit harder.
So that process, right, you had to figure that out as you went. You went, okay, Replit, how do I host it? I got to go to the website, host this when, open up a account, connect my account. Okay, so all that process you just told me can now be automated with OpenClaw. It can essentially control your computer. You give it its own credit card, you give it its own email address. It can do a lot of that process for you. Wow. And this is the next leap forward. And it's only happened in the last month.
Did you go to Simon Beard's event at Cali? You did?
Yeah. He noted it to be like a COVID moment in that it's not changing. Sorry, the world's changing after this moment. And you're seeing all kinds of things on social media now, predictions of where markets are going to go with potential job losses, potential, industries getting downsized for
the big question jobs around it still, though, that hasn't really been answered from, I haven't seen the answer anyway, is just the whole security aspect to it.
Yeah.
So everyone's jumping in and playing with it. And I agree with, if you're ahead of the curve and you're playing, you normally end up in a pretty good spot. But I'm also, until you get a lot of users in there, you don't see what the actual risks look like.
Yep.
So what's your thoughts around the security aspect of it?
Yeah, so that's kind of getting addressed pretty quickly because all the LLMs can see this, right? Huge, big data companies. So Perplexity's bought out Computer, which is essentially the same thing. Claude's bought out Claude Code.
Yep.
There's been a few other, Kimi Claw and a few other ones that have come out that have the security functions sorted. If someone like Simon Beard will argue it doesn't have the guardrails, it has guardrails. Yeah. But it depends what you want. I've tried both and I've actually found Claude Code to be a little bit easier because it does have those guardrails. But for pure like coding stuff, like here's an example I'm doing right now, right? And I'm all about like not only automating, but like making what I can do as efficient as possible and being the best I can. So here's something, right? You've done sales?
I
used to do sales?
A couple of years, yeah.
Have you done sales?
Yeah, lots.
Okay, so here's what I do in my sales calls, right? I record all my sales calls. I've done it for the last 5 or 6 months. I'll get the transcript, put it in ChatGPT and say, how do I do? How do I be better?
Yeah.
Right. And it gives me an outline. I've got Alex Samosi's GPT to give me advice. So I've got Alex Samosi as like a personal sales trainer. Now I've automated it and I just did it the other day, just from coding. And so now I record it from QuickTime. That gets put on Google Drive, but then the automation that OpenClaw made for me grabs that file, transcribes it, puts it into ChatGPT, puts an email, sends me an email. By the time I finish that call in 2 minutes time, I've got a full review of that sales call from Alex Samosi and a draft ready to go to that client. It's very like tailored to that call I had.
Yeah.
And like, I just coded it. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to get our producer to slow that down for any listeners.
Sorry, was that very fast?
No, but it's such an amazing process. But like people that aren't educated in the AI space, like even there's the amount of acronyms that are thrown around as well. Like it's really interesting. And I find it, sorry to digress, but when we spoke to Jason Wyatt, the light bulb moment for him to create Marketplacer was knowing that there's something big was going to happen in technology, because his mate was looking at realestate.com.au and going, dude, you can look at all these houses in the street. You don't have to go drive past the signs. Like you can look anywhere in Australia. And hearing him have that light bulb moment for me was like, oh my God, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And so for him to be talking about realestate.com.au coming out and you talking about now what you can do in real estate with marketing, things like that, how different.
That's nuts.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Didn't Jason, his business partner, invest in it as well? Did I hear that right?
Wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's quite baffling to think how far we've come and far out where are we going to end up.
But there's two things, right? What some people just go, this is too much, I can't deal, and they just disengage,
For sure.
right? Because it's very overwhelming. And I totally get that. I have conversations all the time with people.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. But I would implore people just to learn the basics, at least be aware of it.
Yeah.
Because I was a DJ 5 years ago. If you asked me what a CRM was, I wouldn't even know what a CRM was 5 years ago. If you asked what a listing appointment was or an appraisal was, like I didn't know anything. Like I didn't go to uni for this stuff, but I figured it out. So if you've got the the motivation and the reason to learn something, you can learn anything these days, anything. Like ChatGPT is there, YouTube's there, like anything you want to learn, any career, any skill, it's all there to learn.
Yeah.
So in the AI world, it's all very easy to learn it from the scratch if you can.
Yeah, just while we're on this whole automating things, a good friend of mine, Ty, who you might actually know, Tycho Ty, he used to own a restaurant here on the Goldie. He lives in Bali, and he's just created this software that essentially listens to his sales calls as well, chucks it into like this coaching agent that then sends back, this is what you could have done better. You didn't close here. You asked me all this sort of stuff, right? And I said, was it sacked you yet?
Is it what?
Has it sacked him yet?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Because that's one thing that, like with giving feedback, it listens to him, gives him the feedback. And then every call after that, I said, like, at what point, if you don't action those things that it's asking you to action, do you start being performance managed by AI? Which is nuts, right? When you think about it, because that's normally a job of someone else. That's a leader's job. So then it comes back to your question before, Erin, around like in the world of business, if we end up automating all these things like how to be better and feedback and just those coaching opportunities are now done by AI or large language models. What happens to that leadership role?
It's also the language that they're using. I mean, you go to ChatGPT and it's like, oh my God, great job, good idea. Whereas Claude's a little bit more honest.
Better, yeah.
But are we giving people false sense of really how good they are?
If you don't challenge it, depends if you like to be stroked.
But they don't know.
Yeah.
They're in it. They've got the sounding board is the AI.
Yeah.
And the AI is saying to them, oh, great idea, try it like this. But someone could also, if you've got some really some experienced people within that exact field within the room that have seen so much failure, pivoting all the time and saying, hey, mate, I tried that 20 years ago and it just doesn't work. But
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's when experience comes in, right? If you're an experienced in the industry, you'll know some of the outputs like, that's not great. I was talking to a lawyer the other day, and what's happening in the States is a lot of law firms have just stopped employing juniors and associates in businesses. And a lot of industries, corporate industries, that's how people grind their teeth. They're an associate, they do a couple of years grinding.
Right,
That role now is becoming quickly diminished. And so what's probably going to happen in, 5, 10, 15 years time when all these lawyers working now start to retire, who's coming up to replace them? Is it just the AI bots? Is it just one guy at the top with a whole lot of AI laptops? People far smarter than me know the answer to these questions, but I know where you're going with it. It's an unknown. Where I'm trying to do is just optimize my time and make use and at least understand the technology that's here. Because all the things I see, this is like our .com movement, right? Which I'm sure you guys have all seen. You've all seen the theories online. I'm just trying to ride that wave.
Yeah.
So if I'm a boutique real estate agent, I've just left one of the big conglomerates and I've gone out on my own. What would be your pitch to me to come and work together for me to be a better business?
Yeah, of course. Well, I would first connect with all your past clients, right? If you've already been working for a long time in a local area, you've probably got a lot of past clients. People know who you are. You've been there 10, 15 years. Run some basic Facebook ads with your face, with your new brand, and run it to everybody that's in your database. And a great thing in Facebook, you can take databases of emails and names, plug it into Facebook ads, and you can run an ad to them. $5, $10, really cheap to do. That'll at least get the conversations happening of, I saw you change agencies, good stuff, right? And that's probably a good start. You can even do it on your own. You don't even need us.
Yep.
What you then want to start doing is building a pipeline. And so real estate works on pipeline. Not everyone is going to sell right now. So agents kind of work on who's selling in the next 6 to 12 months, and you work on those. So you really want to fill your pipeline. So you go really hard on ads for a couple of months, get as many conversations as you can, work out who's selling over the next 5 to 6 months, and that'll give you a good outlook to go, cool, I'm selling a house then. Knowing you got that money coming in, you can then start to sell the homes, start to grow. Where we usually come in is when agents have done that and they've got a bit of money to grow. Again, they bring on a staff member, they bring on someone like us to help them scale. They move to the next suburb, they start growing over there. Great thing with digital ads, you can get really, specific of where you're running ads, right? And so you can go, cool, I want to work in the neighboring area. I've had a couple of record sales here. We're going to advertise them over there and help grow the business that way.
Where do I sign up?
Mate, you've got a head for radio, not real estate.
Thanks, mate. But it sounds like a no-brainer. So that to me, you know what I mean? Like, is there anyone else that's in your space that's kind of that you're?
I've had, it's actually funny. I've had in the last 3 or 4 months, a lot of like young kids copy what I'm doing.
Yep.
And I've had like copycat people like copying my landing pages, ads, like website, like ads I'm doing. And I'm like, it's kind of flattery. It's cool.
For sure, 100%.
But like I had 2 choices. I contacted a friend of mine, it's a lawyer. I'm like, they've literally copied everything. What do I do? And he goes, man, you're in the marketing space. Like nothing you can do. And that was a pretty quick lesson to learn. I'm like, all right. Yeah. So again, you just got to be better. And so that's when I went, let's be better. Let's increase my ad spend. Let's increase the output. Let's bring on more clients. Let's be the biggest I can so that those small guys coming up, like we're worlds apart. Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at, right? And you've probably had, and you have had some incredibly successful entrepreneurs on this podcast. I'm in the scaling stage. I'm small compared to them, but I'm trying to grow rapidly. So I'm in the scaling time right now. Yeah. And that's teaching me a lot of lessons. It's like, how can you build without breaking and still scaling? How do you keep standards high? How do you keep team morale up? I've just gone through like a hiring phase of like hiring staff as well. That's like a thing I've had to learn. Yeah. So that's all been cool lessons I've had in the last couple of weeks too.
What does your team look like? Because we haven't spoken about that.
Yeah. So I've got a operations manager that's local over here. He handles all my emails, kind of like deals with the team.
Yep.
I've got a bit of a team offshore as well that do a lot of like the legwork for graphic design, some of the ads management. Yep. I've got a video editor team as well, and I've got a CRM specialist that handles the CRM. Yep. I've built out like a CRM automation as well on a CRM platform, and so they help manage that. So it's seven staff right now. Yep. I really want to take all the work off real estate agents because I'll have these meetings and I'll say, we do all these things, and really all agents care about is, can you get me a listing? And that's kind of a lesson to learn as well, right? I can get really into the nitty gritty of the technical stuff. Yeah. I don't care. Just get me a listing. Cool. All right. I'll do all the things. We'll do everything. You just turn up to the listing appointment. That's kind of how I built the business.
That's very interesting because I look at what real estate agents do now, and it's obviously a bit of an uneducated opinion, but a lot of it's rapport, right? So if you're doing everything for them and they just arrive to the listing, where do they build the rapport with the seller or the
Yeah.
buyer?
So what I get them to do on our onboarding presentation is give us photos, give us videos. We send video scripts to do. We send photos to get. So once we've got all the content, we build all the ads around that. So it looks like they're doing posts. It looks like they're doing videos. We're just doing it all for them in the background.
But that's for the customer. What does the agent get from the customer? How do they know them?
As in, how does the agent know the client?
Yeah.
Through lead generation. So they'll request an appraisal. They'll see them. They've sold an ad down the road. They'll give them a call. What we're trying to do is automate the social media process.
Yeah.
Most agents don't have time to do social media videos or Facebook posts or stuff. We automate that. And so all that content's going out. It looks like the agent's doing the work, but it's just our team.
Yeah. Because I think I'm more talking around like, you know, having a meeting, getting to know the family, getting to know what they're looking for, especially if they double end the deal, right? Sell and get them their next home. So where does that rapport, is that just still up to the agent? You're not doing that sort of stuff?
That's what I'm all about. Sales is always going to be trust. And I say this all the time in my content, like real estate's a trust game, right? And no one's going to list with you if they don't trust you.
Yeah.
And so you got to build that trust. There's no two ways around it, right? I'll have calls with some people and I'll get a bit of a bad feeling and I'll just say, look, sorry, man, I don't think we're suitable, because they just don't have the rapport. And like, it's still a rapport business. Like, I can't make everyone successful, but if you're good at talking to people, you've got a bit of track record, cool, we can work together. So I'm all about building trust before the listing appointment and actually being authentic, because I'm sure we've seen we've seen agents online, they can be a bit inauthentic and a little bit slimy and a little bit kind of distrustful. I'm trying to not do that, right? I'm trying to actually make them real people. And that's kind of where I come with my marketing and trying to create real posts, talk about real stories, less
transactional.
Yeah. And that's kind of what wasn't in the industry when I came. And that was something I learned 3-4 years ago. I'm like, this is what they're doing. This is what you call social media. Oh, come on, we can do better than this.
Yeah.
So does your team, so you provide the scripts for them to then produce the content and send back to you?
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine my content when I started filming that for the first time was shit.
Yeah.
I would have filmed it 45 times, and by the time I got the 45th one, it was still shit. And I'm like, it's going to get better.
Were you using a teleprompter?
You got me onto that, and it was fucking worse because my eyes are following it.
Some people don't do that well.
Okay.
I see a lot of people
holding
like
it up or
No, it was on a tripod thing.
Oh yeah, right.
But anyway, my question is that when you're sending these off to these guys to create content, and it comes back to you, like how many iterations is it before you get something that you can actually work with?
You know what? I've found ways to get around it that actually requires no talking. And you know what's great with social media right now? There's so many cool ways you can do it.
Yeah.
B-roll is like the thing you can get around it. So what B-roll is just like random footage you doing work. And so one of the videos we get when they onboard, send me a video of you working on the computer, which sounds so boring, but it's you on the computer like this, chatting away, making calls. Yeah. But if that's shot nicely with nice light, you overlay text over it, and then that's a video. And then the text over there tells a bit of a story. And then you can turn that into content. There's one video, no talking, nothing needed.
I always
B-roll.
love the fake typing videos because people are like, they've got their fingers
posture.
barely moving. And I'm like, you're not typing. Come on.
Yeah, that as well. Even just like walking around a home, like just take your phone, walk through a home. You don't have to talk to it. We'd have music playing over it. So you just got like text on the screen. It's just something to show something other than, hi, I'm Margaret. I sold a home. Like, Margaret, no one cares. Like build a brand, build something people can resonate with. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's to answer your question.
Yeah,
the other thing we do is we'll do a lot of B-roll and like motion graphics and like listing videos. So if someone comes to a video and they look a bit, or even they can see them looking at the screen, our editors have like a stack of just like footage of homes and drone photos. We'll put that over the top. As long as the audio is still playing, you still get the sense of it.
It's
Right?
more of a
makes
video.
sense.
Yeah, and now you got AI B-roll as well, which is like so cool. Higgsfield and Nana Banana and stuff. Oh, it's insane. Clean.
Yeah.
Have you played?
I haven't played with the B-roll side.
So cool, man. You can type in like, do me a video of walking through a Gold Coast home as if it's shot on an iPhone. Ding. It's perfect. So you can just put that over the video as well. It's
interesting.
Crazy. Yeah.
There you go. Where the space we're going into.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, ecom, like if there's anyone listening to ecom right now, they'll know Higgsfield because you got Simon Beard. I saw a video. He was doing 15,000 ads or like pieces of content, right? And you can very quickly spin up ad creative very fast with Higgsfield and Kling and all these AI software. And so you can very quickly scale and test content pretty quickly, even whatever industry you're working in.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so have you got any success stories from clients that you've sort of can manage to convince them that your way is the new way?
Yeah. What was cool is at the end of last year, I asked all my clients, like, all right, guys, it's been a year. Like, what's all your success stories? And we had guys sell like 32 properties from our leads, 19, 22 properties, and like they're making comms on each of those. They're making bank. They're doing really well, right?
So I better up my fees.
Yeah, well, I thought about that, but then I thought, I don't want to be that guy that just stitches people up. So I've actually just kept my prices the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, people have done really well, but it's still like there's no silver bullet in real estate, and that's one thing. Like I've seen some people struggle, and I'll almost know they sometimes struggle. Where you're not personable. You got to be personable. People still want to deal with you, right? So there's still that element as well. But there's a lot of people have stuck around. In the marketing world, in agency world, there's something called churn. And churn's when you turn over clients. I really try to make the best product so I don't get churn. I really want to work with clients long term, and that's really helped. I really took that seriously kind of like halfway through last year, and that's really helped, like making the best product possible. And I think, again, if anyone's running a business, just make the best goddamn product possible. Really focus on your clients and your customer experience. And if they have a good experience, they'll tell other people, right? Because if they have a bad experience, they're going to tell everyone. Everyone,
sure.
Exactly. But if they have a really good experience and you can incentivize them to do a referral or offer a discount for referrals, well, that can work really well. That's worked great. That was the old, who did that? PayPal, I think, did that. They incentivized people to join, and that's done really well too.
Now, we've spoken a lot about real estate, but you're still doing music, right?
Yeah, it's my hobby. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So, because I just saw you dropped a new track just recently, right?
Yeah.
I downloaded it, listened to it. So, Erin, when we leave here today, make sure you download and listen to it.
Yeah.
Mate, still killing it in that space. So, how does that work?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Like what is it? But what does it mean? Because obviously when you drop it on Spotify, you get a shitload of views on there, dude.
Well, yes and no, right? So I purely is for like passion, right? I don't want to give up music. And that was something I said to myself. I'm not going to just chase a career just for the sake of money or success. Like I still want to do music. So yeah, I still write music on the side. I do it like basketball, like you do, right? Like one day a week, and in the evening I'll do music, and then on like Sundays I'll pull open and play some music. But I don't really tell anyone. Like I don't make it public. I've got that little social media page you follow. Yeah. My thought process behind that is actually the way social media's changed. And the way the algorithms work now, it's more like interest video based rather than follower based, right? So you don't need 10,000 followers to break. You could just have a really great piece of content. So what I do is once a month, I'll do like a day of content, and I'll just do all my content in one day and schedule it out. So all the bits of content you see for the next month, they're all scheduled at the start of the month. And I've got songs for the next like 4 months where every month I'll just go schedule, done. And my thought is, and this is like long-term vision, is if one of those videos starts popping off, cool, that could be like a little secondary career there. And where I think work and the career is going is, I think there's going to be a lot of one-person businesses like myself doing well, and they're going to have all this time to chase their passions. And if that lines up in like a year or two, maybe 3 years time, I'm actually going to have time to just chase my passions. Because the way business is going, I think a lot of people aren't going to have to do 50-hour weeks. I think it's going to be a pullback in your work because you got these AI agents doing, the bulk of the work. You're doing the really important things, and then you're doing your passions on the side. So I'm kind of preempting that's where the world's going for music. So that's the North Star for that.
Yeah, cool.
Should DJs be scared of AI?
Yeah, there's been so much conversation around it, right? People are still going to want to see a performer. They're still going to want to see musicians. And I think that's never going away. No one's going to see a robot play.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
Well, true. I think there's always going to be that element of live music and like live talent. That's always going to be there, right? That's not getting replaced. But it's the creation of music is pretty scary. It's pretty wild what AI can make. Like you can prompt in, like write me a XYZ song, and it comes out incredible. But then there's the story behind it. I think what's going to happen is that people are going to catch on to if it's AI or not. And I've already seen this with people just reject AI if they know it's made by AI. And so the same thing I think will happen in music, where someone's going to hear the song, and if they hear it's an AI artist, they'll go, oh, I don't like it.
How would you know that?
Well, that's the thing. It'll be like, I think it'll come a time where people like source out, is this AI? And there's been a few viral bands that have gone crazy viral. People didn't know. And they went like millions of Spotify plays, did really well. And then it broke, it was AI. And then like people were just in the comments going, blah, blah, blah. So I think there'll be this push circling back around to like AI, original, authentic content. And I think that'll come back around. It always goes in cycles, right? So I think that's where music's
we'll never go back to the 90s though. You say cycles, bring back the 90s. And some of the music that came out of that time, right?
Yeah. I mean,
incredible.
Yep. That was kind of before like, I guess the digital station really took over. So it was very like still authentic. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, of course, songwriting, Max Martin, all the hits, the Backstreet Boys, Britney, all that kind of thing, right? Best music making time. Yeah. Music's very commoditized now because it's so easy to make music. You want to hear a crazy stat? And I could be butchering this, but there's something like I don't know, it's like millions of songs getting uploaded to Spotify every day from AI generated music.
Wow.
And so as a musician, it's very hard to compete now. And so now I'm actually seeing labels sign AI artists, sign AI like songs to kind of capitalize on that. Where it's going though, it's just becoming this flood of content and music. So it's very hard to cut through.
Oh, lucky I'm not a DJ. Just a really good singer.
Can you sing?
No.
Oh,
No.
Don't sing, please.
okay. Do you have a creative outlet out of what you do? Because I know Dan does basketball. Do you have something outside of your 9 to 5 that you?
I love to cook. I'm a really, really good cook, and I love being in the kitchen. I love baking. I love teaching myself skills in the kitchen as well. So that's probably for me my outlet.
Love that.
I wouldn't say I'm a creative thinker, and I think about a lot of ideas every day. And sometimes, and I can execute them, but sometimes it's the middle piece that I need assistance with, or soundboarding as well. Because I sometimes think it's quite boring, and then I'll say it to someone, they're like, "Oh my God, that's such a good idea." I'm like, "Fuck, now I've got my IP."
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know what you should try if you're an ideas person, and you should try this as well? I've downloaded this app called Whisperflow.
I've got it.
Yeah.
It's
And
awesome.
this is my latest
That's so good.
obsession. It's so cool. So with ideas, I'm doing that into like Claude, and it's just like bookmarking it, and then I can revisit it later. Obviously, you've used it yet.
100%.
Good to know.
Yeah. There's a guy who was a Replit engineer who I was watching one of his YouTube videos, and he mentioned it because instead of typing out like the code prompt, he's there talking to it.
Oh, no way.
He's
Talking
like,
code, exclamation mark, backspace, forward
Literally.
slash.
No, he's just like just talking to it normally because that's vibe coding,
Vibe
right?
coding, yeah.
So he's just like, talking to it. I'm like, that's so much faster.
There was one that Dan and I had a meeting though where he used Whisper, and he was holding down the key, but for me to talk, so he's pushing it down. He's going,
Picking up your work.
and I'm like, "Oh fuck, who am I talking to?" And I'm looking at
So
him,
true.
and I'm talking to the computer. So it's maybe more of a solo thing.
Yeah, it's a solo thing.
It's maybe, I use it. I've had it for the last week now, and like I'm
good.
infinitely more productive, right? I do it on WhatsApp, on all my group chats.
Yeah.
That I do it to emails. Like it's prompting as well. It's insane.
And it's really good at
picking
spelling.
everything up. Yeah.
like it's better than me.
And puts the punctuation in the right places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrible at spelling as well. So
yeah, I'm terrible as well.
it's got that. And I think those little tools speed up time, right? And I've actually bought off all my team now. All my team use Whisperflow, pay for their subscriptions. That saves time.
Yeah.
You know, great little tool. Another one was, what was it? Google, had a name. I was actually going to tell you about it because it was cool. Notebook LM.
Yeah, okay.
Another cool tool. So slide decks. So you use slide decks day to day, right? So you can really quickly prompt Google LM and it'll basically just create a whole pitch deck, slide deck. And so I'm doing this tour next month to talk about AI to all these real estate agencies. I reckon I spun it up in like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm yet to find a good one. So interesting. I'll have a crack at that one because the ones that I've used the Canva one and a few others, and
Canva's not great.
It comes back, it's rubbish.
Yeah, this
like,
is
as a sales and marketing guy, you look at it and go, my 3-year-old son could do a better job.
Yeah. Have you tried Hicksfield?
No.
That's pretty cool with like slide decks as well. But what this one does is it does like 15 pages. And so I was like, it was literally just me word vomiting to Whisperflow. I want to do this tour. I want to tell agents about this automation, how they can do this, implementing here, blah, 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 blah. And then that made a prompt in Claude. I put the Claude into Notebook LM. I think I had like a coffee, and then like 5 minutes later, the full slide deck was there. And I'm like, that would have taken me 3 days at least, like 4 days. Like,
amazing.
So cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming and having a chat.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
It's been amazing.
So for anyone that wants to find you, like any real estate agents that are listening to this that want to get in touch, how they find you?
Agent Hype. So either the website, agenthype.co, Instagram, look up agenthype.co.
Yep.
You can Google it. You can ask your AI, find agenthype.co, ask your Whisperflow.
Yeah. We'll have to reach out some AI sponsorship.
100%. Well, mate, that was awesome, dude. So thanks so much for coming in.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got something from that. Yeah. Well, I just want to give takeaways from people and go and chase whatever you can and use AI as best you can to speed up whatever you're doing.
I think that's the thing, right? Like embrace it,
ride the wave,
and be curious.
Yep.
Have a crack, and what's the worst thing that can happen? You're going to learn something new.
Yeah, it's a great takeaway.
Thanks so much for listening to the Shift Pod. We release every Monday morning. So on your way to work, walking in the mornings, or after the gym, please make sure you tune in weekly. And if you can think of anyone that you'd like to listen to, submit us questions, nominate a guest, or even register yourself, go to our website, shiftpod.com, and we'd love to see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.